Hello, I'm Muckai Girish, co-founder and CEO of Rockfish Data. We are helping enterprises deal with data bottlenecks. Nowadays, data bottlenecks are standing in the way of realizing value from AI. And as we see the emergence of AI agent or agentic AI, there is a lot of issues enterprises are facing when it comes to deploying and making sure that they work well. And the classic demo to production Death Valley, for example, and also having consistent answers and all of that. So Rockfish has a solution that can address with its synthetic data platform, providing test coverage for AI agents, as well as ensuring that AI models are trained very well. Our company came out of a lot of research that happened at Carnegie Mellon University, which is considered to be the birthplace of AI. And we are fortunate to be working with a number of public sector and enterprises in their AI journey. It is fascinating and awesome to welcome you, Deryck, to talk about some really cool stuff that are happening these days. But of course, you come with tremendous experience and you have seen the world in multiple during multiple decades and multiple business cycles. So welcome, and would love to know a bit more about your background, which is fascinating.
Sure. I've been at this for a very long time, and I started out way back in the 70s, actually developing, or actually 80s, sorry, when PCs first emerged, developing software for the heavy construction market. And that actually eventually moved me into a position where I was working, what at the time was a company called Spectrophysics Laser Plane, and they were focused on the heavy construction industry and looking at ways to automate a great deal of what had been previously very manual, very difficult processes, very error prone, and in particular looking at automating a lot of the machine control work. And so I ended up through the 90s leading an international team that actually built the world's first fully autonomous robotic machine control system for heavy construction. And back then we were playing with. I mean, we actually ended up taking the kernel from NT and actually extracting components of that to actually build the operating components that we were using. You had to be really creative back then because the technology certainly wasn't where it's at today. So you had to be really creative in terms of your approach. But it was great fun. It was really challenging. But I've had the opportunity over my career to be exposed to a lot of technologies. I've worked in cybersecurity. I mean, I was actually in the boardroom at Sony Music when the PlayStation debacle happened, which was kind of interesting to observe, Um, so yeah, so it's been a long journey, but a lot of fun.
That's amazing, Deryck, and you've seen technology take shape in many different forms, and
Yeah,
and here we are. I think our life is dominated by AI these days, whether we many of us realize or not.
yeah,
And for example, you mentioned automation with heavy machinery. These days, one of the primary purposes of AI, or at least where people are seeing value, is automating a lot of the tasks which
right.
otherwise took a lot of manual effort and manual decision making and multiple systems and people and all that, which can then be done quite effectively with this. Um, do you feel that the fundamental aspects of it were already kind of figured out at that time, and we are sort of being able to leverage the technology evolution and the compute capability and all that today, or is it a completely new paradigm?
I think in some ways it's a completely new paradigm. Yeah, there's so much that has changed so quickly. I mean, what's amazing to me is that AI has actually been around for quite a long time, and it's been involved in people's lives for quite a long time without most people even being aware of it. But now, all of a sudden, with the advent of all these large language models emerging, people are becoming much more aware and they're starting to engage and fumbling along as they do it. Um, And it's opening up a whole new world. I mean, I was playing around the other day, using a no-code environment with a marketing automation tool that I have, and I was just stunned with what I was able to do. It's just absolutely amazing, and that's going to completely usher in a whole new age, I think. But I think that, to me, one of the biggest challenges that we face is that this is happening so fast, that nobody's in control. And it's going to be unfortunate, because I think it's going to impact a lot of people in a very difficult way, and it's going to take years for everything to really catch up, and for the necessary jobs to be created that would normally come as kind of a natural sequence of a super cycle. But this one's moving so fast that there's just not the opportunity for that to happen, and it's going to be a real struggle, I think, for several years.
Interesting. Yeah. And I couldn't help but notice your first statement that, we have had AI for a long time. I have had in my name Muckai, muck with AI. And I didn't realize it until much later in my life.
Right.
uh,
That's great.
uh, but just following up on this, I know there is quite a bit of fervor in predicting where AI will go. And of course, as Yogi Berra said, forecasting is hard, especially when it's about the future. Nevertheless, with your experience, you've been in so many different sides of technology. Your sort of outlook means a lot
Hmm.
in terms of what is more likely to happen, etc. So, just want to get a sense, where do you think we'll be as a society, 10 years from now? Are we maybe a lot of people talk about, AI will do all the work.
Well,
It's so good.
I wish, I mean, if I could have my wish of wishes, if certain entities could just get out of the way, um, things I think would be just absolutely incredible. But unfortunately, we live in a world where that's just not going to happen. The powers that be are going to be the powers that be, and that's both on a positive side as well as on the negative side, in terms of not only nation states, but just bad actors in general. They've proven, over many decades, that they will adapt and adjust to what's available to them. And of course, money talks. And so, um, the thing, I do believe that we're going to be in a much more positive position, maybe in about 5 or 7 years from now. But I think over the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to be a really rough journey. I think it's going to be a real struggle for a lot of people, um, because there's going to be a significant number of jobs that are going to get lost, and they're not going to have time to get them replaced. There's not going to be time to train people into, new roles. And so there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be struggling for quite a while. And so, I mean, one of the things that I'm trying to do is to educate as many small businesses as I possibly can, and try to give them the tools to be able to be positioned to take advantage of the changes as they come. But unfortunately, there's just a huge number of them that will just not pick up the technology, or they'll really struggle with it.
Yeah, I know. Very interesting. One thing that we are seeing is cybersecurity has become a big issue in the process, right? Where, again, thanks to AI, the bad actors can now create a lot more attacks. They can automate the wrong side of things quite well,
Yep.
which means there is a lot of stuff to be done by cybersecurity companies. And obviously, one thing that we are seeing they lack is you need to look at potential scenarios, because the one way to stop threats or looming threats is to sort of predict before or look at those scenarios and then
Right.
how to adjust accordingly. And that's where we are seeing a lot of interest, especially with the synthetic data capabilities and other things that we can generate,
Hmm.
both offensively as well as defensive cyber. this becomes a good tool in order for
Yeah.
the good actors
Yeah,
to
I
really.
think what you're doing is absolutely brilliant because unfortunately there's not enough data out there, and particularly data in the form that you really need to be able to test these systems and be able to really put them through their paces. So I think what you're doing is absolutely brilliant. It's I think it's going to be a huge challenge. I mean, that was enough, I've played around, for example, with, synthetic voice generators and replicated my voice. And, I was absolutely stunned with how easy it was and how accurate it was. Um, and if I can do that, then people with lots of money that are in a bad, that are not such nice guys could also do that, and they could do it in a really bad way. And so, you think of all the ploys that they do today in terms of phishing techniques and things that they do to bring people, to basically spoof people. It's just going to get so much worse before it gets better. And again, this is another place where we're, having to play catch up, right? Because, cybersecurity firms have got to basically burn the midnight oil to try to, as to your point, really think about, what are the things that these people are going to do and how they're going to go about doing it, and what do we have to do to basically put up, walls to be able to hold them back. And
Yep, indeed.
it's not going to be an easy thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Never a dull moment.
No.
Yeah. But
Yeah, that's the one thing when I got into this business, I'll never be out of a job.
absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, to end on a very positive note, I know that a lot of bright minds are at it. I mean, you've been at this for a long time, and you continue to spend inordinate amount of time, energy, and sweat in advancing this. So really appreciate that, and I think together as a community, I'm sure we'll do well.
Oh, I think so. We've, like you said, there are a lot of really bright, positive minds out there that are, looking at ways to really positively move society forward. And I just, try to do my little bit, and hopefully, we can get some of the people that we need to get out of our way to let us do what we do. Then the faster we can, influence that to happen, I think the better off we're all going to be. So we can hope anyway.
Absolutely. No, fascinating. Derek, thank you for your time and good discussing this with you. And hopefully we can chat in the near future
Yeah,
as things evolve more.
I'd
Thank you
really
for your
like
time.
that. Sounds great. Thanks, Girish.
Cheers.
Okay, bye bye.